The ghosts of the just suspended 8-month strike by the members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, is yet to be finally laid to rest. In what appears to be reopening of old wound, the federal government has appealed to the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, to revert its opposition to registration of 2 new academic unions in the public university system. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Ngige, appealed to NLC to allow the Congress for Nigerian University Academics, CONUA, and the Nigerian Association of Medical and Dental Academics, NAMDA, exists in the spirit of freedom of association. The minister insisted that the Trade Dispute Act of 2004 gives him the sole power to register new trade unions or regroup existing ones. Julie, what's the meaning of this? ASUU have called off their strike, and we know that ASUU is the major body, most recognized body, within the lecturers in Nigeria. So what's this politics of CONUA and NAMDA?
You know, the minister admitted during an interview on TV that for so long he rejected all efforts to make him register CONUA. So the question we should ask the minister now is what has changed? If for so long you refused to register, then they kept piling pressure, you refused. It must have been for a reason. But you chose an auspicious time to now register them. Ayo, CONUA is only useful during strike. Now that the strike has ended, nobody needs CONUA anymore. Nobody needs to. People were asking for alternative voice because they were not happy with the way ASUU was digging in and all that, you know. But the same people who are angry will not ask why government set up 2 different committees, put their own, they nominated the people in the committees, yet the reports of the 2 committees they refused to consider. In fact, one turned in his report, and for months they did not utter a word about the report. You gave them a job to do. You should have said, okay, this is where we can go. We demanded for that on this program that, look, if you cannot meet certain conditions, you say, okay, we can do this. Even until the House of Reps Speaker called a meeting trying to solve this problem, we never heard from the authorities that, look, it is possible to accommodate UTA's peculiarities in IPs. But the head of service said that publicly there and admitted that IPs was not perfect. But that it's possible to listen to them and accommodate those things. So, in my view, CONUA is like a vehicle to achieve an aim. Once the strike is over, who is talking about CONUA? What we want to see industrial harmony in the universities. Once we can achieve that, who will be talking about CONUA? Where do they exist? You go to Ilorin, they don't have CONUA. Go to BUK, they don't have CONUA. UI, they don't have CONUA. Go to UNILAG, your alma mater, go and ask for CONUA members at UNILAG. I dare you, go to UNILAG tomorrow. Where are the CONUA members? Find out whether they are there. So this is the thing, and the minister doesn't need to, I can see why the minister is begging. NLC is a labor center. TUC is a labor center. You need affiliation with either of those 2 big labor centers. Yeah. If there is a concurrence between NLC and TUC, and both of them refuse to admit them, then they are in the limbo. Where you find CONUA is where the branches of ASUU, where they have crisis and they couldn't resolve it among themselves. This is a fact.
MJ, I don't know. Is there anything wrong for this CONUA to exist, other associations to exist, at least to just break the monopoly of ASUU?
We have discussed this before, that CONUA and NAMDA are just organs set up for a particular purpose. And like Ngige said, I think their time is over. And for me, I don't see CONUA and NAMDA getting any support from NLC and TUC. The same way, at a point, it was only NLC that we had.
Yes.
It was the same government that came up with Trade Union Congress that is almost parallel to NLC now. It's the same thing they are trying to achieve with CONUA and NAMDA. But I believe Ngige is using reverse psychology, which I doubt will work this time around. Because now, if you can't just be at the local levels, you need to get yourselves affiliated to the national, which is the NLC. And I think for once, the Minister for Labour and Productivity, Dr. Chris Ngige, should take it easy. I mean, what he could not resolve for 8 months took Gbajabiamila less than 2 weeks to fix through mediation, persuasion. I mean, he appealed to the sensibility of the leadership of ASUU. And for the sake of the country and for the sake of our children who have been at home for quite some time, I mean, they were able to budge. Now, some people are trying to blame us with that. Now, why did you yield? I mean, without achieving what you were fighting for the past 8 months. And for me, I say, no, nobody should blame ASUU. Now they have seen reason. They have seen that Gbajabiamila
made promises to them.
Yes, was almost prostrating to the dealership of ASUU. And you could see that has elevated the status of Gbajabiamila.
Of course.
I mean, for doing that. At the time, the president drafted the education minister, Adamu, who we believe is a member of the Kaaba. He got, I mean, he had a two-week ultimatum. It never worked. So, and I think at a point, government also realized that you need to get UTAS into the IPPIS. Because in a situation where a professor receives research grants, how do you get into IPs? And how do you get these things? So I think the effort should be on how do we sit at the round table and look at the fees being paid for tuition, accommodation, to seek a review, especially with the present-day economic realities, where you are selling a bed space for a maximum of for between 12,000 and 30,000 naira per annum. It doesn't make economic sense. Then the tuition fee. Of course, we have different tuition fees for indigenous and international students. But even at that, how much is the equivalent? I doubt if tuition fee cost up to 5,000 naira per course. Whereas in other...
I think also that beyond even the fact that it's so cheap to get trained in our universities. For example, people have said that our medical colleges, that the cost of training a medical student in Nigeria is probably the cheapest in the world. Yet, they've shown everywhere that they've gone to that they can hold their own.
Yes.
Go to UK, Canada, Dubai, everywhere they're doing
because
well.
if we are producing quacks here, they will not be absorbing them into
they
the
do
system.
They do exam.
They do exam.
And they come tops.
So now, the point that I'm making, one big problem that people fail to talk about, when we are talking about this problem, self-inflicted, we are setting up universities like politicians are coming up with constituency projects. Now look at what they are doing. If they like your face, they look at your village, they go and give you medical college in your village. We've seen, I don't want to mention the names, but I've seen one prominent person from APC, they gave him a medical college in his town, and another minister, medical college. We can't fund universities. We are creating more and more universities. Public universities that we have now, they are up to 90. States that can't fill their quotas in public universities, they are setting up state universities. Where are you going to find the money? I've seen some state universities that I could count on my fingertips the number of structures there. They are waiting for TED fund to build structures for them.
I don't know
they
how
don't
they
have
get
the funding.
the accreditation. I don't know.
No, they are even supposed to do a kind of moratorium to say, okay, you want to set up state university. Okay, for the first 10 years, fund it by yourself.
Yeah.
How can we have university that there is not an inch of tarred road in a university, and you have a university that there is no perimeter fence around it? When it's 5 o'clock, everybody goes home. Was that the way it was when we were trained? They are setting up universities. There are so many they can't fund them. If it was like before, some of the funds will have been freed to address some of the challenges that we face. But right now, we must tell ourselves the truth that we cannot fund them the way things are. And there's no need. I think that CONUA will fizzle out on its own.
Of course.
There's no need begging.
Naturally.
There's no need begging.
There's
There's no need begging because
Even if NLC
NLC has even told you we don't want CONUA.
Okay.